Good morning. This is the time and place for the zoning cases hearing for February 22nd, 2012. My name is Vilya Zamataitis, and I will be the hearing officer for today's meeting. We have one case on today's agenda, and relevant exhibits are posted on the panels located directly behind me. Today's case involves a conditional use permit, so under the provisions of Title 30, Chapter 30.42 of the Glendale Municipal Code, a conditional use permit shall be granted if four findings are present. If the evidence presented in the application and at the hearings meets the criteria, the planning hearing officer can either approve or impose conditions for approval on the case in question. If the findings of fact are not evident, then the request will be denied. Notification of this hearing was accomplished by the use of public notices, which were mailed to the property owners located within 500 feet of the subject property. Physically posted on the site in question, placed in a local newspaper, and posted on the city's website. I'll read the description of the application request. I'll then read the reports received from other city departments and other letters and communications from interested parties. The case planner will then make a brief overview of the case, give analysis, and make a recommendation. The applicant will be asked to come forward, stating both name and address, and will be asked to present the case within a 15-minute time limit. Others in support of or in opposition to the application and interested parties will be asked to come forward to speak, again clearly stating both name and address for the record, and they will be speaking within a 3-minute time limit. Lastly, the applicant will be given the opportunity to make closing comments, if desired, in response to the testimonies given by the preceding speakers, and this would be done within a 5-minute time limit. The hearing will then be closed and the case taken under submission or a decision may be made. After the hearing, the decision will be prepared in writing and will be in the form of a letter sent to the applicant and to all persons who responded to the public notices either by speaking at the hearing or by submitting written responses and have provided their name and mailing address. The date of the decision will be the date appearing on the letter. Under the appeals provisions of Title 30, Chapter 30.62, the decision may be appealed to the Planning Commission within 15 days of the decision date, and the notice of appeal shall be filed with the Building and Safety Division located in Permit Services, Municipal Services Building 101. If you wish to speak, please write your name and address on one of the speaker cards, which have been provided by the table by the front door, and submit it to our planning staff. I would also like to inform everyone that the official proceedings of the planning hearing officer's hearing are recorded on tape as part of the public record. This is what brings me now to the agenda. The one case is conditional use permit case number PCUP 2011-029. The property is located at 2227, and forgive me, it's 2272, so that's 2272 Honolulu Avenue. The applicant is Janelle Williams of Williams Land Use Services. The owner is Montrose Pacific LLC, and the case planner is Dennis Joe. The project description: an application for a conditional use permit to allow the on-site sales, service, and consumption of alcoholic beverages, and this would be full liquor license, at an existing full-service restaurant with outdoor dining on the public right-of-way at a property located within the commercial retail zone, described as lots 45 and 46 of tract number 1701. In looking through the case file, most of the interdepartmental comments showed actually no comments, and this would be from fire, the city engineer, Glendale Water Power, traffic and transportation. There were comments that were sent by the police department, but I believe all of the comments dealt with proposed conditions of approval, which I believe Mr. Dennis Joe will be describing in his staff presentation. So I will wait until his staff presentation to read those into the record. And there are no other comments of significance. So at this point, I would like to turn the matter over to Mr. Dennis Joe for the staff presentation.
Thank you. Good morning, hearing officer. I'm going to go straight into a description of the existing property and then to staff's analysis of the proposal. The subject property, or actually the tenant space, is approximately 3,333 square feet and is occupied with this existing full-service restaurant, which is Pepe's Mexican restaurant. The operation of this restaurant has been over 3 years. The vehicle parking spaces for this restaurant are supplied on the alley south of the property on a public parking lot. The building occupies the entire lot, so there are no vehicle stalls on site. In 2006, a parking reduction permit allowed for the required off-street parking spaces for this restaurant to be provided at the said public parking lot south of this subject property across an alleyway. Staff's analysis of the conditional use permit is the alcoholic beverage sales request has been approved by a CUP which expired in November 2011. This application, the applicant wishes to enhance the restaurant service by including a liquor bar and outdoor dining area on the public right-of-way, which is located adjacent to the establishment's front entry facing Honolulu Avenue. The previous CUP had a condition of approval which restricted the restaurant from operating a separate bar use, and it confined the sales and service and consumption of alcoholic beverages to be incidental to the sales of food only. An existing bar was identified at the restaurant at the time of field inspection by planning staff. Wait staff at the restaurant had indicated the bar was operational during all business hours, and the necessity of ordering a meal was not required to be served alcoholic beverages. It is not anticipated that the request will require any city services. No recent reported issues from the existing full-service restaurant was indicated from our neighborhood services division nor our police department. In regards to the bar area is relatively small. It's approximately 170 square feet compared to the full-service restaurant's dining area, which is approximately 800 square feet. Since the restaurant closes at 11 p.m. On any day of the week, the added bar to the restaurant doesn't present any concern. Comments from the police department state that they are supportive of the request and the outdoor dining as long as the subject restaurant provides a barrier from the pedestrian right-of-way. Records from the engineering division of Public Works indicates Pepe already has a sidewalk dining permit for these chairs and tables. Comments from PD also indicate the census tract has 32 alcoholic beverage sales licenses, where 7 would be permitted. Although the amount exceeds the license, the recommended amount of licenses in the area, the full-service restaurant Pepe's already holds one of the existing licenses, so this request will not intensify the count of the licenses in this census tract. The number of crime of the census tract is 44% above the city average. However, comments from PD indicate the restaurant has not created any major concerns for law enforcement. Overall, the applicant's desire to continue the provided on-site sales, service, and consumption of alcoholic beverages is a request that appears reasonable based on the facts surrounding this application and the applicant's finding. Staff's recommendation is that the conditional use permit can be made in a positive manner and therefore recommends approval of this entitlement. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions as well as the applicant.
Thank you, Mr. Joe. I would like to call up the applicant, Ms. Janelle Williams.
Good morning, Ms. Semititis. My name is Janelle Williams. My office is 2418 Honolulu Avenue, right down the street from Pepe's, in Montrose. There's one point of staff report that I differ with, and that it relates to the bar. We're not enhancing the use, and we're not enhancing the approved use. That bar and the floor plan behind you is the original floor plan that was submitted in 2006 with the original conditional use permit application. The bar is clearly shown. We've had, at that time, we had meetings with staff prior to the conditional use permit and afterwards to clarify, and there was never a question as to whether there would be a bar there. And that was approved, And it was built out when the restaurant was built. And and there was never a condition that a meal had to be ordered at the bar. Similar to other restaurants such as Conrad's, Clancy's, Viva Fresh, where they have a full-service restaurant with a small bar. And that's what we have here. They do offer tortilla chips and peanuts and water and a menu if a patron would like to order from the bar, but they're not required to. So with that, I will just go into, do you have any questions about that?
Actually, I'll leave my questions for after
Okay.
your presentation. Thank you.
I'll go into the findings then. First finding, how will the proposed use be consistent with the various elements and objectives of the general plan? Alcoholic beverages and beverage service in conjunction with a full-service restaurant is consistent with the commercially designated locations identified in the land use element of the general plan. It anticipates that full-service restaurants, including on-site liquor sales, are appropriate uses in commercial districts. The existing full-service restaurant is a permitted use in the CR commercial retail zone. No changes in any applicable general plan elements have occurred since 2006 when the prior conditional use permit was approved. The project is consistent with the surrounding neighborhood and in keeping with the various elements and objectives of the general plan, and it's a great fit for Montrose. And I wanted also to mention that although their CUP expired in November of 2011, we got our application in prior to that. So just so you know, we're not late. Second finding, why will the proposed use and its associated structures and facilities not be detrimental to the public health, safety, general welfare, or to the environment? The site is within an identified regional commercial center, which is Montrose, and the site was granted a conditional use permit in 2006 to sell alcoholic beverages. This request is for a renewal of that permit. An approval of this application will enable Pepe's to continue providing a needed service for the Montrose community. The use and its associated structures and facilities have not been detrimental to the public health, or the safety, or the general welfare, or to the environment. The development meets the intent of the zoning ordinance and would not be detrimental to the public health or safety. Third finding, why will the proposed use and facilities not adversely affect or conflict with adjacent uses or impede the normal development of surrounding property? Pepe's Montrose has been an asset to the area. It upgraded from its space, and it enhances the range of commercial facilities within the Montrose Shopping Park. Prior to them locating in Montrose, they were located in the city of La Cañada, Flint Ridge, for approximately 25 years. They had to relocate due to the that shopping center.
The new town center.
Yeah. So they moved into Montrose, and it's been a great fit. It has not adversely affected or conflicted with any adjacent uses. It has not impeded the normal development of any surrounding property. The full-service restaurant is well situated with respect to other facilities in the shopping park, and it has not adversely impacted existing facilities, property values, or normal development. Fourth finding, explain how adequate public and private facilities such as utilities, landscaping, parking spaces, and traffic circulation measures are or will be provided for the proposed use. The structure, streets, parking, and utilities are all existing, and they're more than adequate for this restaurant operation. No changes in operation are proposed, so the adequacy of the public infrastructure would not be affected by this application. Adequate public and private facilities such as setback, utilities, landscaping, and open space are provided for the existing use. The structure is properly accommodated and properly located on the site. Since this is an alcoholic beverage application, we have some additional findings that we need to make for that, and there are 5 questions. If the existing proposed on-site or off-site use is located in a census tract with more than the California Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control recommended maximum concentration How does such use not intensify or otherwise contribute to the adverse impacts on the surrounding area caused by such overconcentration? This establishment currently holds a Type 47 ABC license, which establishes the sale and consumption of a full line of alcoholic beverages in a bona fide eating establishment. The renewal of this conditional use permit will not intensify the saturation of licenses in the area. All commercial establishments that serve alcoholic beverages must be located in commercially zoned areas of the city. As such, those certain commercial areas could tend to be overconcentrated. This particular use, though, fulfills a need in the community whereby the responsible on-site sales enhance the operation, address the patron's request, and it complements the cuisine. Number 2, if the existing or proposed use is located in a crime reporting district with a crime rate which exceeds 20% of the city average for Part 1 crimes, how does such use not tend to encourage or intensify crime within the district? In general, crime statistics will show that the existence of a full-service restaurant serving alcoholic beverages does not tend to intensify crime in the area. The development and support of a vibrant local spot actually discourages loitering and encourages more pedestrian and business patrons. How will the existing or proposed use not adversely impact any church, public or private school or college, daycare facility, public park, library, hospital, or residential use? What they mean are any kind of sensitive uses in the area. But no impact would occur as a result of this conditional use permit. Pepe's Mexican Restaurant is a neighborhood establishment serving residents as well as patrons and employees of local businesses. The ability to have an alcoholic beverage with meals is an anticipated amenity. Food is offered with an alcoholic beverage order, of course, in the restaurant. And they can order food at the bar. How does or will adequate parking and loading facilities be provided? All structures, parking, streets, and utilities are existing and are adequate for the establishment. The adequacy of the public infrastructure would not be affected by this application. It does not create an impact on traffic patterns in the area, nor create any undue burden on existing public facilities or infrastructure. And I think this is the last question. Notwithstanding consideration of the above criteria, how will the existing use serve a public necessity or public convenience for the area? Well, with 25 years in La Cañada and in Montrose since 2000, and I guess they got their CUP in 2006, but they didn't finish the build-out until a couple of years later. But given their record as a good business neighbor here in Glendale, and in view of current patron approval and support of Pepe's Mexican Restaurant, the public convenience is served and met. Standard conditions of approval would ensure a continually well-run establishment that also continues to meet a public convenience and a necessity. And with this application, after 25 years in La Cañada, Flint Ridge, since 2009, in the 2006 in Montrose. At that time, they received a 5-year approval. We're asking to extend that for a period of 10 years, so they don't need to come back.
To extend it up to 10 years or for an additional 10 years?
To extend the conditional use permit for 10 years.
10 years.
So that they won't have to come back and reapply for their conditional use permit for another 10 years.
Okay. That I definitely will take under consideration. I do have a few questions.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you're through with your...
Yeah, I'm pretty much done.
I want to...
Okay, that's good.
Interrupt your presentation.
I'm on a roll.
A couple questions. In regards to your request for a 10-year expiration period.
Yes.
For the CUP. I know that they do have an existing CUP that expired in November, but you submitted your reapplication in October.
That's right.
Okay, so in good standing. Pepe's, I believe, currently has a Type 47. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So it's in good standing with the ABC department.
That is correct.
Okay. In reviewing the case file, Mr. Joe and I went through our building permits, and the building permits always showed that bar in existence. They were on all the plumbing permits, the building permits themselves, though we, obviously we had a question regarding the previous CUP, because the previous CUP specifically had this condition of approval, which was condition of approval number 9, that the sale, service, and consumption of alcoholic beverages at the restaurant shall be incidental to the selling of food, and that the restaurant shall not have or operate as a separate bar use.
The restaurant shall not operate as a bar.
Okay. So
That is how I interpreted that, and it might be a little bit confusing.
I think that there was confusion on that part,
Yeah.
because it specifically
But there was never
states
any question.
the restaurant shall not have or operate as a bar use, although all the previous plans actually showed the bar.
Sure.
In my site visit, obviously,
It's there.
it's there.
And it was built out at the same time. Everything was built at the same time.
So I think that that's one thing that I think that this particular CUP, if so granted, which I am inclined to grant this CUP for a variety of reasons, many of which you just stated, that would also be a clarification in the CUP conditions of approval, that they can maintain this bar that has been part of their operation since 2007, I believe, but that we'll just note it as that this is not a bar, this is not a tavern, okay? That would put it in
Exactly.
a different use category than what is being currently reviewed today, which is a restaurant with alcohol service and sale and consumption on
Yeah,
site.
like I said,
Okay?
this is more like a Conrad's type.
So, exactly. So we'll go ahead and make that clarification. The one
Appreciate
thing that I had a question regarding the plans, and I believe these are the same plans that were submitted for the first CUP in 2006. It actually shows tables and chairs in the center portion, and I know that in my site visit, and I believe, obviously, that if
They
you were to go there
converted
today,
it, yeah, they put booths in there.
they have booths there. So do you have any objection to submitting as a condition of approval a revised floor plan showing the existing state of the
No,
restaurant?
not at all.
That way we know for certain there's no possibility of ever having other activity go on in the center, whether it be public
Dance floor.
a dance floor, banquet tables, things along those lines. It will remain, a great, wonderful establishment, in the Montrose area.
Building out the
Pepe's
booths there,
Mexican.
they sort of shot themselves in the foot if they ever wanted to have a dance floor.
Well,
The restaurant.
not that, but that way we have also for our records and for in perpetuity that it shows that there are
Understood.
booth seating in the
Yes.
center. There is no open table areas or whatnot. So if you don't mind, I'll put that as a condition of approval.
We'd be happy
like,
to do that.
Like I said, I am inclined to approve this CUP based on what we just discussed, and this would be, a modified floor plan. I will take into consideration, given the longstanding good operation within the city of La Cañada and now within Glendale, I am inclined to grant a 10-year period, but there will be specific conditions listing that it not be a tavern use. It would continue to operate as a restaurant, that there would be a Type 47 ABC license imposed. And with that said, I have no other further questions. I'm not sure. if
Anything
you have any.
related to the outdoor dining?
The, Mr. Joe, do they have an encroachment permit currently with the Public Works Department?
Yes, they do. They have they call it a outdoor dining.
Outdoor dining
It's
permit?
an
They've
outdoor,
always had that.
correct, an outdoor dining. It's an encroachment permit for outdoor dining. So as long as you maintain that, and that's also probably something that I will address as a condition of approval, that if you continue to have outdoor dining, that you have that outdoor dining encroachment permit
Yes.
on record with the Public Works
Yes, we
Department.
keep that updated every year.
Ms. Zematitis, staff's recommendation for the bar is based upon the operation hours that I believe what the website states is that it's going to close at 11 p.m. There is a recommended condition of approval that staff had recommended for your consideration that it limits the hours to be to 11. I don't know if the applicant would like to express their opinion, or maybe they're okay with it or whatnot. So
Well, I would like them to have the flexibility to change their hours of operation if they deem it's warranted for their business, not to exceed what's allowed by the alcoholic beverage control.
Typically, right now, Ms. Williams, what time does the restaurant close?
11.
The restaurant closes at 11. Is there an objection to having, since this is a restaurant with alcohol sales, is there an objection to maintaining that condition of approval of having the
I don't-
business close at 11?
I don't think so. I would just like them to be able to have the flexibility if their business dictates that they need to remain open later for, I can't even think of a reason why.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Okay.
I don't know.
We'll take that under consideration. Typically
That's
a
up to
restaurant, I wouldn't imagine it staying open past midnight.
Right.
There is a,
I'm trying to think of a reason why they would need to stay open past midnight. I just can't think of one.
Usually in the late hours in the area, it kind of quiets down.
If there's something going on,
exactly.
be a sporting event or something like that, because they do have big screen televisions. But
Okay. Well, that's something we
why would they be showing sporting events at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock at night, unless it's the Olympics?
know. Well,
Yeah.
again, I'm inclined, because this is a restaurant with alcohol sales use, perhaps allowing them to remain open to midnight on weekends.
Okay.
But because this is, a restaurant use that is surrounded by residential neighborhoods to the north and south, and because of the type of license that they are requesting, perhaps that might be something to consider if they'd like to go forward. More of a bar tavern type use at a later
I think
date.
we could live with that condition, and I'll talk to the owner today about that. I don't think they would have a problem with it.
Okay.
If there's any specific thoughts about that, I'll contact staff.
All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Williams.
Thank you very much.
I have no further questions.
Not-
And with that said, I am now taking this matter under submission. This hearing is now officially closed. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.